Hello everyone, this is Satyaprakash. Welcome to my channel. In this video, I'll show you what is CRUD operation in ASP.NET Core MVC. So guys, CRUD means C means create or new insert records, R means read or fetch records, U means update or edit records, and D means delete or remove records. So I'll show you how to create a CRUD operation in ASP.NET Core MVC using Web API and SQL Server. So guys, in this video, we'll get the systematic ways how to set up ASP.NET Core Web API to ASP.NET Core MVC application. So let's begin that video as well.
Hello everyone, this is Satyaprakash. Welcome to my channel. In this video, I'll show you how to build an ASP.NET Core Web API using VS Code and connect it to SQL Server step by step. So here we'll create a new ASP.NET Core Web API project using the .NET CLI and configure SQL Server connection strings and set up entity framework core or EF core and retrieve data from SQL Server database. So this video is very useful for beginner, intermediate and experienced candidates. So we'll work on Web API that reads data or fetch data from SQL Server and exposes it through REST API endpoints. So guys, before going through this video, please visit my previous video how to set up fixed ASP.NET Core Web API using VS Code, and how to set up fixed Swagger in ASP.NET Core Web API, and how to perform the sample CRUD operation in ASP.NET Core Web API. Let's go to my presentation. So in this video, we'll discuss about how to create ASP.NET Core Web API project using VS Code, how to configure SQL Server connection string in ASP.NET Core, use entity framework core with SQL Server, how to create a models and DB context, how to fetch data from SQL Server using Web API, test API endpoints using Swagger, and how to test API endpoints using Postman. So guys, I will show you the step-by-step process. I already have created one node section. So these are the prerequisites or tools and technologies. One is ASP.NET Core, second one is VS Code, third one is SQL Server, fourth one is entity framework core, fifth one is Swagger UI, and the last one is Postman tool. So guys, step 0, how to connect and authenticate SQL Server using VS Code. So first of all, I will open my VS Code, okay, and go to the extensions. So here guys, you need to install these extensions from the search extension in marketplace. So the extension name is SQL Server MS SQL, and the publisher is Microsoft. After install this package or extensions successfully, you'll get the extensions under the install tab of the extensions, and you'll get one icon here, SQL Server, right? If you click on it, there is one plus button. If you're initial user, you cannot get the details here, so you'll click on this add connection. So you can see there is one connect to database, right? It is asking SQL Server name, authenticate type, username and password. So guys, before that, you need to install the SQL Server and SQL Server Management Studio. So this is my server name. I'll go to the VS Code. So here I'll put the server name and username and password, okay, and save password. After then click connect, and then you'll get on the left hand side the file explorer or server explorer with the file hierarchy. If you expand that, databases, and you can see the database name CodeDB inside the tables, and this is the tables db.employees. Same thing I can see here in SQL Server. So in this way we can set up the connection of SQL Server in VS Code, right? So this is all about the step 0. Step 1 is we need to create a table called employees. So guys, I'll open the SQL Server Management Studio, and I'll create one table called employees, and this is the script of create the script of table employees. So these are the columns: employee ID, first name, last name, email, hire date, salary and created date. Employee ID is a identity column, and then I have created so this is all about the script of table employees. Okay, now I'll enter some dummy records to here. So I have 10 records, you can see here, right? Employee ID, first name, last name, email, hire date, salary, and created date. So this is all about step 1. Step 2, we need to add the required NuGet packages for SQL Server and Entity Framework Core. So guys, we remember that if you use the ASP.NET Core Web API to connect to SQL Server, we need Entity Framework, right? So for that, in this ASP.NET Core Web API, also we need Entity Framework Core. So that we need to install these two packages, NuGet packages, right? So first of all, I'll open my command prompt and map to my Visual ASP.NET Web API project. So this is my project path, right? Inside all the folders are there. I'll go to the same path here by type cd space and the path. After then I can see the my ASP.NET Core Web API project path, and then I'll copy that this package, go to the command prompt, paste here and click enter, right? I already have installed, so no need to install again. Same way I need to install this second package. Okay, same way I go to the command prompt, map to this path of ASP.NET Core Web API and then paste like in this way and click enter, and it will install all the packages related to this EF core or Entity Framework Core. So these two packages after installation, that is Microsoft.Entity Framework Core.SQL Server. Second one is Microsoft.Entity Framework Core.Tools, right? So after installation successfully, I can see the confirm how where it is installed or not. Go to the bin folder, debug net 10.0, and I can see this Entity Framework related DL files, right? That means my package is successfully installed, right? So this is about the step 2, and also using VS Code we can identify that Entity Framework Core DL files. You can expand the bins folder here, and I can see Entity Framework Core related DL files or packages it is installed here, right? So same way we can verify. Step 3, we need to add connection string, right? So to add connection string in ASP.NET Core Web API, we need to go to the app settings.json file. So I'll open that my web API core project. So there is one app settings.json, right? So guys, here in the connection string section, I need to add this line, default connection server. So this is my server, database name is CodeDB, user ID is this one, SA, and password is this one, and trust server certificate equal to true. So this is about connection string part to connect to the SQL Server. Step 4, we need to create a model that is for table mapping. So I need to create a folder called model and inside employee.css. So this is very simple, man. So first of all, you can see these are all my column names, right? So same way we need to create a class file. The same column name should be there to map to the table with the CS file or class file. So I'll go to here. I created one model folder on the root, that is right click on it, and there is one file option called new folder, and make it as models, right? And then right click on it, new C# class file. If you enter class, right, it will open one folder, one CS file, and you can name it as employee.cs. So here as per the step 4, we need to create a employee.cs file, right? So here these are the namespaces you want to use. One is system.componentModel.data annotation and system.componentModel.data annotation.schema. So this is the table employees attribute I want to implement, because my table name is employees, and this is the employee class, right? And then I am using all the column names which is similar to the column names in my database. So here I'm using employee ID, first name, employee ID, first name, last name, email, hire date, salary, and created date. So the employee ID is the identity column, so that I mention it as the attribute is database generated, and database generated option dot identity. Same way, for first name I use the attribute as the 50 characters. For last name is the 50 character string length. For email, the string length will be 100, and for the hire date, the type name is date and it is required. Salary, and I'm using the column type name decimal 10.10 comma 2, and for created date, the same value properties should be mapped to the database table column names. So this is all about the code for employee.cs file, right? And then step 5, we need to create a DB context, right? So to create a DB context, we need to create a folder called data, and inside app db context.cs file. So go to the VS Code. Same way, I created one folder data, and inside I created one CS file called appdb context.cs. So here I need to use one namespace Microsoft.Entity Framework Core, and one is using new web API.models, because I want to fetch my employee class related properties, so that I can use this namespace. That is, the new API is my web API project name, and models, inside models I have the employee.cs file, right? That's why I meant this use this namespace. So this appdb context is from this db context class. If you hover your mouse, you'll get what is a db context, right? So it is an instance. It represents a session with a database and can be used to query and save instance of your entities. So db context is the combination of the unit of work and repository pattern. So this appdb context have the this one is the constructor, and inside the db context option, appdb context and options, and it is from base options. If you put over mouse, you'll get what is this db context options. And then I use the db set, and this is the employee cs file, employees object, and such that setup employee, right? So that means it is this class file is using that my employee cs file, so that using employee object I can access all the employee properties, that is first name, last name, employee ID, and whatever the columns there. So this is all about the appdb context file. So this is about step 5. Step 6, we need to register this db context in program.cs file. So I'll click on this program.cs. So guys, here I can see the program.cs, this one. So I need to register that db context. Okay, so this is the line of code that is builder.services.add db context, right? And it is configured with the get connection string and default connection. So this is default connection is my connection string name. If you remember, in app settings.json I'm creating this connection strings, and this connection string name is default connection. The same thing, while I register my db context in program.cs, okay, I'm using that default connection to connect to the database, right? So this is the code for register the db context in program.cs file. Okay, so this is all about the code for program.cs, and I'm using that entity namespace called using Microsoft.Entity Framework Core to write this line of code to support all the related builder and its properties here. So here you can see, if you put our mouse, you'll get some system generated files and CS files and its methods, right? So it's get the specified connection string from the specified configuration, right? So that means it helps us to connect to the database as per the connection string. So this is all about the code for program.cs, right? Step 7, we need to create a API controller. Inside the controller folder, there will be a employee controller.cs. So I'll go to the VS Code. There is one controller. I'm creating one new file called employee controller. So to create a controller, right click on the controller files, new C# and controller, right? So after then I creating one employee controller.cs. So open that one. So here guys, I want to use this namespaces. One is Microsoft.ASP.NET Core.MVC, one is Microsoft.Entity Framework Core, and this namespace new API web API.data, because inside data folder we have the app.db context, right? And same way I'm using this model of models, that is the using new web API.model. So in the models folder I have the employee class. To access this all the properties I am using this namespace, right? And then I'm using the API controller, and the route I'm using as API/controller, and this employee controller base class is controller base, right? So this is the read only of app.db context, and the property is underscore context here. So this employees controller is our constructor. Inside app.db context I pass this parameter app context. So I pass this context value to underscore context, and this is the HTTP GET request, because I want to paste the request, right? Paste the data based on the GET request and get the response. So this is the async await operation. I'm using here task of action result IU enumerable of employee class, and this get employee is the method. It is awaitable, and I'll return await underscore context dot employees dot to list async. So this will help me to get all the data from the database. It will be fetching the records based on the GET request. So this is all about the code for employees controller.cs file, right? Step 8, I need to run and test the application. Okay, so before run and test I want to build. So there is two ways. You can right click on 3 dot terminal, new terminal, or very easiest and efficient way to do that is I'll go to the command prompt here and map to my ASP.NET Web API project path, that is this one. And okay, now I'll run here, type here the command .NET build, click enter. So the build is succeeded, and the next command is .NET run. Okay, this one as per the step 8. So .NET space run, click enter. So here you can see guys, this command gives a URL to run our API project, okay, to see the output. So this is the URL, http localhost : this is the port number. I'll copy this URL, go to the browser and browse here. This is expected. I want to use here the /swagger. Click enter. So this is guys, I'm getting the endpoints here. You can see employees, and then get endpoint is API/employees. So expand that one, click on try it out, and there is one execute. So see here, I'm getting, this is the request URL, http:/localhost port number API/employees. So this is the route, because I'm using here, remember, in employees controller.cs. So this is the route, right? API/controller. So controller is employees, so that it is creating one URL or endpoint based on that. Okay, and now I'm getting in the response body, I'm getting 200. Okay, and I'm getting all the response here. Employee ID 1, first name John, last name Doe, email is john.doe@email.com, hire date, salary, and created date. Same for employee ID 3, employee ID 2, employee ID 3, employee ID 4, employee ID 5, employee ID 6, employee ID 7, employee ID 8, employee ID 9, and employee ID 10. So we have all the records of 10 records in database. So all the 10 records has been retrieved from the SQL Server in ASP.NET Core Web API. So I'm getting the response successfully from here, right? And I'm getting the 200. Okay, so this is all about how to check response in Swagger UI. Same way I'll show you how to check in Postman. Let's go to my notes section. In step 9 I'll show how to API testing using Swagger. I already shown that one. Step 10 I'll show you API testing using Postman tool. So guys, I'll copy that URL, request URL, go to the Postman. Here in the search bar I'm putting here, right, and select here get request and click send. So here I'm getting 200. Okay, I'm getting all the employee ID from 1 to 10. So I can see all the employee details in Postman. So guys, this is all about the steps for ASP.NET Core Web API to connect to SQL Server using Entity Framework Core, right? So here I'll go to the presentation. So guys, that's it for today. Thank you for listening. Have a great day. Hello everyone, this is Satyaprakash. Welcome to my channel. This is part 15 of ASP.NET Core Web API. In this video I'll show you how to perform CRUD operation in ASP.NET Core API with Entity Framework Core and SQL Server. So CRUD is create, read, update, and delete. That is, create the new records, read the records, update the existing records, and delete the existing records. So guys, in this video I'll show you how to set up the connection string to connect the SQL Server, how to build a CRUD operation using Entity Framework Core, and how to testing the API endpoints using Postman and Swagger UI tool. So guys, before going through this video, please visit my part 9 of ASP.NET Core API that is available in my playlist called ASP.NET Core tutorial. So in this playlist I have added all the real-time scenarios regarding on ASP.NET Core and API part using Entity Framework Core. So this is the basic videos and for intermediate and experienced candidates. Please go through the part 9 before going to this part 15. So guys, let's start my step-by-step process. So I have created one node. First thing, step 1 is I'll create a new table in SQL Server. So I'll go to the SQL Server. So in SQL Server I have created one table called employees, and this employees table has the columns employee ID, first name, last name, email, hire date, salary, updated date, and created date. Okay, so this is the create script of table, and I have few records on this table. So this is the step 1. Step 2, I will create a set up a connection string in app settings.json to connect to the SQL Server. So I'll go to my VS Code. So this is my ASP.NET Core APIs project. So here I'll go to app settings.json, and in app settings.json I have this connection strings which is available inside the default connection. So this is my server, and this is the database, and this is my user ID and password, and the trust server certificate should be true. So that is my connection string. Through this, my application is connect to the SQL server. Let's go to the step 3. So step 3, we need to set the DB context and DB set in appdb context.cs file. This is nothing but an entity framework. Okay, so I'll go to this file appdb context.cs. So I'll go to appdb context.cs, which is available inside the data folder. So here you can see, guys, my appdb context class inherit from db context. Okay, so here if you put our mouse on db context, you'll get some information, that is what is the db context, and it represents session with a database, and it can be used to query and save instances of your entities, that is for tables. Okay, and there is one constructor I'm created, and inside constructor I'm passing the db context options, and it is calling it is from the base, right? So if you put our mouse, you'll get the details what is this base options. And then I set the db set. This employees is nothing but my model class file and the set of employees. So I'll show you what is this model class. So this is code of appdb context.cs file. Step 4, I need to configure the program.cs file. So I'll go to program.cs. Okay, so there I have configured all my middlewares, configurations, everything is here, because when my applications will load, it will first coming to this program.cs file. So, okay, so these are the namespaces I need to use. Okay, so here the most important point is whatever I set in app settings.json for connection string, same default connection I need to pass here inside this code, that is builder.services.add db context. Okay, and get the connection string from this value. So this default connection is nothing but in my app settings.json file. Okay, so I need to pass the same in program.cs. So all the steps I already have shown you in my previous videos, that is in my ASP.NET Core tutorial playlist. If you go to step 1 to step 9, video 1 to video 9, you will get the all details how to create a ASP.NET Core application, how to set up Swagger, what is the program.cs file, and this remainings whatever I am using here, this all the line of codes I'm already discussed in my previous videos. Okay, but for this part 15 only I am using this file, this line of code for get the connection strings. Okay, so this is the code for program.cs. Okay, and one more thing, this line of code I'm using for exception handling errors. Okay, error handling part. So this is code for, this is step 4. Step 5, we need to create a model employee.cs. So here inside models folder I'm creating one class file called employee.cs. So in employee.cs, this is the namespace I need to use, and this is the table I'm using employees. Okay, whatever my employees columns, the same properties I need to set here in my employee cs file, that is model class file, that is employee id, which is the identity column, and this is first name, last name, email, hire date, salary, created date, and updated date. Okay, so this is the code for employee.cs file. Let's go to my next step. Step 6, I need to create a API controller to do some CRUD operation in employees controller.cs file. So I'll go to the controllers. Inside controllers I have one employees controller.cs file. Okay, so in employees controller.cs file I'll show you all the endpoints and what is their uses. First thing, I need to use this namespace. Second thing, I need to use that route which is used for my API endpoint, that is API/controller. and my employee controller class file, it is inherit from base class, that is controller base. And this is the appdb context. This is my constructor, and this appdb has a parameter, and this context is assigned to underscore context. So first endpoint I will discuss, that is get. That means it will return all the employees records. So this is the HTTP get. So in API we have 4 HTTP verbs for most important verbs. One is HTTP get, HTTP post, HTTP put, and HTTP delete. So HTTP get means it will return all the employees details. Okay, so that is the async and await I'm using to perform the asynchronous operation. So this is the method get employees, and based on this underscore context, this class will be inherited. Class will be, you can use this class. So this is nothing but it is coming from this employees, right? If you click on data appdb context, you can see this employees is set here in db set, right, in appdb context. The same thing I'm using here in employee control.cs file. Okay, this will return my all the employee details. So we'll check first this one. So before that I need to build and run my application. .NET build. So this is the command will build the application, and this is my path. So make sure on the proper path you need to execute the command. So build succeeded. Second command is .NET run. So it will run my application. So see here, my application is running successfully. I am getting one URL, that is, okay, I'll copy this URL, go to the Postman, paste here http localhost /API/employees. This is because I'm setting here route here API/controller, right? Same thing we need to pass here employees API/employees, and make sure you need to set here get request, okay, and in headers you need to pass your accept application /JSON, and there is no authorization, nothing, only headers. Then click send. See here, I'm getting all the responses here, all the employee details I'm getting here. Okay, see here, I have total 8 records. Okay, so I'm getting same 8 records in my Postman API, in Postman API, okay, tool. So let's check same thing in my Swagger. So I'll go to the browser. I need to put here Swagger. So see here, this is my endpoint, get request, select, and what I'll do here, I click on try it out, execute. See here, I'm getting all the employees, right? Response body 200, okay, I'm getting response here. So I'm getting all the employee details here. Okay, so let's discuss with the next endpoint, that is employees get employees with ID, passing with input ID. So here you can see I am passing one employee ID value. Based on the ID value it will filter the records. Okay, so this is the storing the value, whatever ID value, based on ID value it will store this value. If it is no value is found, to return, otherwise it will return the employee details. So this is the second endpoint to get the employee details and filter the details based on the ID value. So what I'll do is, as of now I have this employee ID. Okay, I want to see the details whose employee ID is 8. So I'll go to Postman, I pass here employee ID 8 and send the details. So see here, I'm getting only the employee details whose ID is 8, that is 200, okay. Same thing I'll check here in Postman. I'll refresh. I'll go to the second endpoint, that is get endpoint with ID, try it out, click on execute. I pass here value 8, click on execute. So here okay, 80 value here, response body. So here try it out, click on 8, click on execute. Okay, pass your 7. Okay, so click on execute here. So it will return the employee details whose ID is 8, right? So here I'll check the same value for 7 whose ID is 7, click send. So I'm getting the employee details whose ID is 7. Okay. So let's check the next endpoint, that is HTTP post. That means it will create the new employees. Alright, so to create the new employees, okay, I'll go for see here, create employees, employee, and employee.created at date time dot now. So remember we have one column created date, right? So this created date, it should not be used for in the post operation, so that we have this date time now value now property, so that when the any employee details will be created, that will be get the records from date time now, so that no need to manually insert the records from created at. So it will get the records from date time dot now. Okay, and using the context employees add await operation, save changes async, and return the get employees and this id value employee.employee id. Okay, so this is the thing I need to use for post operation. So I'll go to the postman, I'll select here post operation, remove this id. Okay, I'll click on body. Okay, inside body I have this value, right? That is employee id 15, first name, last name, and email, hire date, and salary date, right? So remember this employee id should be required. So if I'll remove this employee id, click send. Okay, so see here I'm getting employee id 16th, first name, last name, email, hire date, salary, created date is capturing the today's date, and updated at equal to null, right? So if I'll go to, so see here as of now I don't have any records whose employee id equal to 15th. So that if we'll refresh it, execute, so see here it is employee id 16 is created, right? So see here I want to manually put the employee id the 15th. Okay, and make here some different name, click send. But I'm getting 500 internal server error because we cannot pass the employee id value manually, because it is the identity column. Okay, so that's all about the post operation. Okay, so I'll go to my code. So this is the code for HTTP post. Alright, so here I'll check few details. That is, okay, I want to create one more records. Ram Satpal, and this is the mail ID. Click send. So see here, I'm getting employee ID 17 and the record details. If I refresh it, I'm getting the new records here, right? 17. So see here, I'm getting the status code 201 is created. If I'll check on headers and test results, headers, you'll get also the application product/JSON response. I'm getting the 201 created. That means my successfully created. Same thing I'll check in Postman. Refresh it, go to post operation, click on try it out. Okay, and here inside body, and paste here this code, this body part. Okay, and type here some name, different name. It will create the ID 18. So I'll click on execute. So see here, I'm getting 201 response body. Okay, so I'll go to refresh it. So see here, I'm getting employee ID 18, right? So let's check for new endpoint, that is HTTP put. That means it will update the records. Okay, so here HTTP put attribute you need to use, and this ID value you need to pass, and this is the update employee method. I'm passing two parameter, one is ID, one is employee details. So based on ID value, it will update the employee details. Okay, and this is the if condition, and this is the existing employee. If exist, if not found, then it will not found, then it will update the records based on the past parameter values. And here one updated date art column is there, right? So it will update the records. When the records will be updated, that will capture that date. So that I'm passing here date time dot now, and await operation and return OK for existing employee. Let's check for the same that. So what I'll do is go to Postman, select here put employees. I want to update the records. For example, here I want to update records for employee ID equal to 15th. There's no records for 16th, so I want to update records for 16th. Okay, so I'll go to 16, pass here 16, and here I put some new data, that is George Meloni, and here I'll put the mail ID and date I'm updated, and the salary. Okay, so it will update the records for 16th, right? So see here, as of now my first name is Satyaprakash and last name is Sam, so it will update the records for whose ID is 16th. Click on send. I am getting 400 bad request. This is because I'm not passing this parameter ID value here, employee ID, right? Because in my code it's showing two values we need to pass, one is ID, one is employee, and HTTP put has passed this value of ID. So based on ID it will update the records. So I'll go to here, I'll pass here employee ID $16. Okay, click send. So now my records is getting updated. I'm getting 200 OK here. So see here, I'm getting created date. The date when this record is created and the date the record is updated, right? So we'll check here, refresh it. So see here, for employee ID 16, first name, last name, email, hire date, salary, everything is updated, and this created date is, it is captured while created, there is no changes, but updated date column, it will be get the date on which the employee ID is updated. So I'll go to next endpoint, that is delete. Okay, so delete, I am using here HTTP delete attribute, right? So delete employees method, it has only one parameter, and this var employees, it will be based on the ID, it will capture the value. If it is no value, it will return the message employee with ID not found. And this line is, I discussed, I have created that this line delete the employees from the employees table, and this line using the remove method, it will mark the employee for deletion, and this line it will remove the employee from database, that is the using await, and it will return that employee ID successfully deleted. If any exception is found, it will show the this message. Okay, so I'll show you this message also as a scenario. So what I'll do is, I'll go here. Okay, before that I need to check the same for in Postman, right? So refresh it, go to put, click on try it out, pass here 16. In body I am passing here for 16. So here I different name, George1, Melanie1, George1 mail.com, make it headed salary same. So click on execute. So I'm getting response body, right? So if we'll check here, so before that it was George and Melanie for first name, last name. If I'll execute, it is updated from George to George1, Melanie to last name, Melanie to Melanie1, and email george1@gmail.com. Okay, so as discussed, I'll show you this HTTP delete in Postman and Swagger, right? So I'll go to Postman, select here delete. I want to delete the records whose ID is 7. So I want to delete these records whose ID is 7. So what I'll do is pass this ID value 7 here, no need to any body, right? So click on send. So see here I'm getting message employee with ID 7 deleted successfully. Let's check in database. So it's successfully deleted, right? So I want to delete again this 7 ID value, click send. I'm getting this message employee with ID 7 not found, because it is already deleted, so that it is not there in database, so that I'm Postman returning the message employee with ID not found. Let's check for this scenario. An error occurred while deleting the employees. For example, your connection to the SQL server is lost, or you are passing this wrong connection string, so that it will return this message. I'll show you that the scenario. I'll go to okay, first of all I'll show you these two message scenarios in Swagger, and then I'll show you this scenario in Postman and Swagger, right? So here using Swagger I want to delete these records whose ID is 88. Okay, I'll go to Postman Swagger, refresh it, check on delete endpoint, try it out, click on 8, execute. So see here employee with ID 8 deleted successfully. If I'll check in database, there's no records, so I need to execute one more time. So it's showing employee with ID 8 not found. That means my this ID 8 value is not there. So it is working as expected. So as discussed, I'll show you this catch exception message and what scenario it will be getting. Okay, so I'll show you that message as well. So what I'll do is I'll go to my app setting.json. So this is my correct connection string, right? So what I'll do is I'll pass here user ID, the wrong user ID, save these changes, go to my command prompt, click on .NET run, Okay, so what I'll do is I'll go to Postman. I'll first try to delete the records whose ID is 9, right? So data is there. I'll go to Postman, try to delete the records, click on send. So see here I'm getting exception is 500 internal server error, and an error occurred while deleting the employees. That is nothing but this one, whatever we have set in our code, right? An error occurred while deleting the employees. Same thing I need to check in Postman. Go to delete API endpoint, click on try it out, try to delete the employee ID whose ID is 9, click on execute. So see here I'm also getting 500 internal server error, an error occurred while deleting the employees. So let's fix that. I'll go to my app setting.json, make it the wrong user ID, click save these changes. I'll go to make it the build and run, so that whatever changes we have implemented, that will be correctly built and compiled. So I'll check first that record is existing or not for employee ID 9 and try to delete here. So employee with ID 9 deleted successfully. I need to go to Swagger, click on delete, try it out, pass this ID value 9, click on execute. So see here employee with ID 9 not found. That means connection string is properly set and I'm able to getting the response as expected. Okay, so here, so that's all about this endpoints. Okay, first is HTTP get for get request, HTTP get with ID, and this HTTP post operation for create the employees, and HTTP put for creating the new employees, for update the existing records, and this HTTP post is creating the employee details. HTTP put is based on ID value, it will update the records, and HTTP delete, it will delete the existing records. Okay, so that is all about the code in employee control.cs file. Okay, so I'll go to my notes. Step 7, I will test using Postman Swagger. So I already have shown you all the endpoints test API testing using Postman and Swagger. I'll go to the sheet presentation. So guys, that's it for today. Thank you for listening. Have a great day.
Hello everyone, this is Satyaprakash. Welcome to my channel. This is part 17 of ASP.NET Core. In this video, I'll show you how to call ASP.NET Core Web API from ASP.NET Core MVC. So guys, before going to this part 17, please visit my part 16 of ASP.NET Core application tutorial. Here you'll get some ideas how to create ASP.NET Core Web API as well as ASP.NET Core MVC application. So I will add this link in my description of this video. Please go through that. So guys, in this video I'll discuss few points, that is how to call .NET Core API in ASP.NET Core MVC, how to design ASP.NET Core MVC using Bootstrap, and how to run an API and MVC application to display the records. So guys, this ASP.NET Core MVC will be created based on the Razor format. So I'll go to my notes section. I've created a step-by-step process. So here guys, first of all I need to go to the program.cs file. Okay, so I'll go to the VS Code. Okay, so guys, this is the VS. I have created two instances of VS Code. Which one is ASP.NET Core MVC application, which is this one. Okay, and one more instance of VS Code, that is ASP.NET Core API. Okay, so this ASP.NET Core Web API I am consuming in my ASP.NET Core MVC application.
So I'll go to the ASP.Core MVC application first. Okay, so here as per the step 1, that is I'll go to the program.cs file. So this file will be created based on the app startup and it registers HTTP clients and services. So I'll go to the program.cs file. So guys, here this is the line I'm adding here using builder.services add HTTP client, and this employee is service is a class file. I'll show that creation of this file and the content, and here using client and client base address, this is my API URL. Okay, so this is the line you should add in the program.cs file. And there is one more line is this one I need to add, that map controller, okay, middleware to route to the in MVC. It will be used for creating the MVC routes, right? So the name default pattern is controller, home, index and the ID value. So this line of code you need to add as well. Okay, so here this is the program.cs file. This is the content of this program.cs file. So I'll close this one. So next one is I'll create a employee.cs file. It is a kind of model class. It represents an API data from JSON to C# object. Okay, so I'll go to the employee.cs. So here this is the line, this is the properties employee ID, first name, last name, email, because in my API I'm getting the response based on these entity objects. That's why the same entity objects I need to create in a model class file of my application side. Okay, so I am using this line of these 4 properties, and it will be display records from these 4 properties. It will be shown in my MVC app UI. So this is the code for employee.cs. Step 3, I'll need to create an employee service.cs file. It will call your API. So I'll go to employee service.cs file. Okay guys, so here first of all you need to use this namespace, and this is the class file employee service.cs file, and the HTTP client read only, it will be underscore HTTP client. Okay, and this is the constructor. I'm passing the parameter based on this object. I can assign this value from this HTTP client, and this async await operation here, and the task list of employee, it is a class file which one I created earlier, and it is a get employee async operation. Inside the try block I'm using return await using HTTP client dot get from JSON async. Okay, and this one, if you right click on, go to implementation, get from JSON async. So it will send a get request to the specified URI and returns the value that results from deserializing the response body and JSON in asynchronous operation. So if you go to right click on, go to references. Okay, it is coming from the HTTP client. Okay, so again we will need to show any things. So there is no reference because it is a system generated from HTTP client, and the list of employee, and this is the endpoint value because my API contains /employees. Okay, so here it will be list of employee, and in the catch block it will be return the new list of employee. Okay, and you can remember, if you go to the program.cs, I'm using this endpoint, right? HTTP localhost, and this is port number API / and here in employee service.cs file I'm adding the concatenate with this value. This is the endpoint correct. It is the my API endpoint called employee, which is the controller of web API. So that will coming as /employee, so it will get return all the records from API response. Okay, so this is the code for employee service.cs file. And step 4, I need to create a controller. Okay, and in the controller I have used the handler request from browser and call service to get the data. So here I'll go to the controller of MVC web app. Okay, and here this is the code of controller. This namespace we need to add, and this controller has the employee service, which is a class file I'm created. Okay, and this the constructor passing the parameter services, and this async operation I'm using the index method, and it will call the from the services. I'm using this method, right? You right click on, go to implementation, it will be redirect to employee service.cs file method, and will return all the employees, return view. Okay, so this is the code for employee control.cs file. Step 5, in index.cs HTML, it will display employee data in UI table. So I'll go to the web application, MVC ASP.Core MVC application here, which VS Code. So first of all, I need to use this layout to support and get a reference of Bootstrap. So this layout path is mentioned here, page shared underscore layout.cs HTML. If you expand that, pages shared and underscore layout.cs HTML. So this is the default code given by ASP.NET Core MVC. So this is supporting to the Bootstrap, and all the references is implemented here. So ultimately, what if you map to this path, so our application also getting all the Bootstrap CSS properties and implement in your application. Okay, so same path I'm giving here, and model list of employee, and this is the div. Inside div I'm using this card. Okay, so it will be given header employee list and total counts, and in card body I'm getting the if else condition. If the data is there from model, not there, then it will display on records no employee data found. Else in the table I'm getting the records. So this is the Bootstrap table. Okay, so this is the header employee ID, first name, last name, email, and respective. In for each loop I'm using the table date, table row, and TT and TD coming from @emp, and I'm getting the this inherit the employee ID, first name, last name, and email. Okay, so you can get these details, and this int I is nothing but it will show an increment value 1 2 3 4 5 like this, and this incremented here, and this respective IDs tags has been closed. Okay, so this is the code for index.cs HTML, and it's very straightforward. So this is the code for index.cs HTML. Okay, so guys, here I'll be one more thing I need to mention here, that so this program.cs file is available in your application, right? And for employee.cs, before creating employee.cs, I'm creating one folder, and inside folder I'm creating this file name. Same for this is the employee.cs. Same for employee service.cs file. Go to here, and in creating one folder, services. Inside services I'm creating employee service.cs file, and same thing for employee controller.cs. So I'm creating one folder, controllers. Inside I'm creating employee controller.cs file. And for index.cs HTML, that is our view part, I'm go to here. Okay, and here I'm creating one folder, views, and inside views I'm creating one more folder called employee, and inside I'm creating index.cs HTML. So because my controller is employee, so that I'm creating one employee folder inside views, and inside is index.cs HTML. Okay, so and then whatever the pages in the shared folder, the layout.cs HTML I'm using for reference to the Bootstrap, supporting the Bootstrap response design. Okay, so if you go to HTML CSS, so these are all whatever you see here, this is all Bootstrap CSS properties which is implemented inside layout.cs HTML. Okay,
So these are, you can see in bootstrap cs in underscore layout.cshtml, it is all the default code added by hp.core MVC. This is the all coming to the link css style set coming from css bootstrap means css site.css, and also bootstrap bundle.mean.js. No need to write anything, that the application is provided by default for you for layout.cshtml file. If not, you can add this code in your file. Okay, so this is all the steps I have covered up. Okay, and here, so as this is an MVC controller, so it needs the route mapping. So I already have shown you, right, in the program.cs file. So you need to add this map controller route. So in MVC it supports the routing to the pattern, that is controller, action method, and the optional parameter. Okay, so I'm also implemented here map controller. So it is for API routes like API/employees. This is the program.cs file of web application, web API. So it will go to okay, I'll close this one and I'll be again reopen that web API. So see here guys, in web API sp.core web API, I'm using this middleware, that is app.map controllers. So this is for API routes like API/employees endpoint. But for sp.core MVC, I'm using this middleware for MVC routes like employee/index. Okay, so that's why I'm using here map controller route in program.cs file of sp.core MVC application. So guys, let's check the output. First of all, I need to run the .NET Core API. Okay, so I'll go to here in my command prompt of .NET Core API. So to run, you need to first type .NET build, and the next command is .NET run. Okay, so I'm getting this URL, copy this URL and go to browser. Here type Swagger, so we'll check whether response is coming or not. So whatever endpoints you are seeing here, this endpoints already we have implemented in my .NET Core API application, right? So in this video I'll show you for this implementation of this endpoint HTTP GET request. It will show all the records from employees table in SQL Server. Okay, so I just consume this HTTP GET of this endpoint get employees. Okay, in my next videos I'll show you implementation of get employees ID, HTTP GET request for HTTP post, create new employee, HTTP put for get new employee, and HTTP delete for delete the existing employee. Okay, but in this video I'll show you only this for endpoint implementation of get records from employees table. So guys, already have shown I have created one video, the CRUD operation in ASP.NET Core Web API. So please go through the playlist of my ASP.NET Core tutorial. So you'll get this video on implementation of CRUD operation. I have covered up all the endpoints in that video. So let's check the response as my ASP.NET Core Web API running successfully. So this endpoint I'm using, okay, I need to use this endpoint value. So here I'll click on try it out, click on execute. So see here guys, I'm getting all the response. So I'll change here from text application /JSON. Okay, and again cancel this, try it out, click on execute. So see here, I'm getting all the employees data in the response, right? The same data I'll reflect in my sp.core MVC UI. Okay, let's go to the command prompt of sp.NET Core MVC. Here I'll execute the same command .NET build, and the next command is .NET run. So I'm getting different URL of sp.NET Core MVC applications. Okay, so I'll copy that URL, go to browser, and here I'll type, and also we need to add this route inside the application, that's employee index. So employees is a controller and index is my view. So see here, I'm getting all the response here. So this design I have implemented inside my index.cshtml. Okay, I already have shown you, I'll again show you that as well. Okay, whatever you see in the UI, it is coming from index.cshtml. Okay, so my API is running. I'm getting all the records. So I'm getting all the records here. Total 8 records I'm getting: employee ID, first name, last name, and emails. So it is showing the total count of 8 and employee list, and this design as per the bootstrap. Okay, so we'll check one more scenario. If API is not running or no records found, so it will show this message that is no employee data found. So what I'll do is I'll go to my command prompt of sp.core API. I need to stop sp.NET Core API. So what I'll do is Control C. Okay, so my API is not running now. I'll check here. I'll browse this Swagger. So my Swagger is showing failed to load API definition. Okay, I'll coming to here .NET Core app, and I'll be refresh it. So see here, no employee data is found. So because I stopped my sp.NET Core API application, so that sp.NET Core MVC unable to get the records from .NET Core API, and it'll show no employee data found. So I'll do one more time to run my sp.NET Core API .NET run. So I'll go to browser of Swagger, refresh it. So my .NET Core API is off. I'll click on try it out, execute. So I'm getting all the details. Click on check your application /JSON. Click on execute. I'm getting the response from API. Go to sp.NET Core MVC. Refresh it. I'm getting all the details. So in this way we can call or consume sp.NET Core Web API in sp.NET Core MVC application. So I'll go to my notes. So that's all the steps for implementing the API consume in sp.NET Core MVC application. So I'll go to the presentation here. So guys, that's it for today. Thank you for listening. Have a great day. Hello everyone, this is Satyaprakash. Welcome to my channel. This is part 18 of ASP.NET Core. In this video, I'll show you how to filter data in ASP.NET Core MVC using ASP.NET Core Web API. So guys, before going through this video, please visit my part 17. So I'll show you that. So this is my part 17 in the ASP.NET Core tutorial course section. So you'll get the all real-time scenario videos on ASP.NET Core with Web API and SQL Server. So in my last video, I already have described how to get records and fetch records in ASP.NET Core MVC using Web API and SQL Server. So guys, I'll go to my presentation here. So guys, in this video I'll show you how to call ASP.NET Core Web API in ASP.NET Core MVC application, and how to design ASP.NET Core MVC using Bootstrap for responsive web design. And also I need to show you that we need to parallelly run ASP.NET Core Web API and MVC application to display and filter the records. Okay, so I'll go to my notes section, guys. I already have mentioned here. So first of all, guys, I need to make the steps for implementing to get and filter the employee data using ASP.NET Core MVC and API. So guys, here first of all I'll go to I have opened two instances of command prompt. One is for web app, this is my web app, and one is for API. Okay, this is the .NET Core web app and this is .NET Core web API. Okay, and similarly I also opened two instances of VS Code. This is my web API VS Code, and this is my ASP.NET Core MVC web application. Okay, so guys, here I'll show you for step 1. We need to go to the program.cs file. This program.cs file, what it does, it is used for start up the application, and it will registers the HTTP clients and services. Okay, so I'll go to my .NET Core web ASP.NET Core MVC. So here I'll open the program.cs file. Okay, so see here, this is the I already have described this one I use for HTTP client service. This is my API endpoint. Okay, so this is this local URL I'll be finding when I run my web API. Okay, and second step is this one. This is for map controller route. So this is used for ASP.NET Core MVC. This pattern, controller, action, method, and the ID, it is optional parameter. Okay, so this is the code of program.cs file. So let's go to the next step. So guys, step 2, employee.cs, it will represent the MPI data from JSON to C# object. So this is nothing but it is a model. So I'll go to ASP.NET Core MVC. Okay, and there I'll go to find out one models, employee.cs. So these are the properties: employee ID, first name, last name, and email. So it will match with my response, which one I'm getting from API. Same entities I need to create here to properly match with the entity of API, and I'm able to get the details from API and filter the records. Okay, so this is the code of employee.cs. Step 3, employee service.cs, it will be used for calling your API and the endpoints. Okay, so before going to ASP.NET Core MVC for this CS file, first of all I need to show you in ASP.NET Core API what are the get endpoints there. So see here, guys, I already have described this ASP.NET Core API CRUD operation. So I have given that URL in my description section, so you should go through that. Okay, so this is my ASP.NET Core API, and this is my controller employees controller.cs file. Okay, and so these are the API endpoints, get endpoints, because I put the HTTP get attribute on the header of the method. So this is the get endpoint. Okay, this get endpoint it is retrieve all the employee details, and second get endpoint it will filter the records. Okay, so this endpoint I'm using in this video. Okay, so based on the employee ID, it will be retrieve the particular employee details and display on the UI. Okay, so these two endpoints I'm implementing in this video, and it will be used for get all the employee details, and based on the input by the user, it will retrieve the particular employee details based on the employee ID. So this is all about this API endpoints. Let's go to my ASP.NET Core MVC. As per my step 3, I need to call this API endpoint in employee service.cs file. So I'll go to ASP.NET Core MVC. There services folder and employee service.cs. Okay, so see here, guys, so I am using two methods here. One is for this method is used for getting all the employee details. Okay, and so that I'm passing here this employees, it is my controller, and the remaining part I already have implemented in my my API URL in program.cs file, right, this one, and slash, after slash it will be concatenate with this employee service.cs file, that is employees. Okay, so it will retrieve all the employee details. And second method it used for filter the records, get employee by ID async. So this ID is getting the employee ID, and based on the employee ID it will be get the employee details for that particular employee ID. So that I'm using here return await HTTP client get from JSON async this employee object and this employees controller slash ID. So this method is used for filter the records. Okay, so this is the code of employee service.cs file. Let's go to the next step. Step 4, employee controller CS. It will handle the request from browser and call service to get and filter the data. So I'll go to the employee controller. So see here guys, this is I'm using also two methods. Okay, this method I already have discussed, that it is used for index method. It is used for get all the employee details. So await service.get employee async, if you right click on go to implementation, it will be moved to the employee service.cs file method. So this method is defined here. I'm calling inside the employee controller CS file. Same thing, I'm using this method for filter and sort the records based on employee ID. So this is the async await operation I'm implementing. So the source method int ID. Okay, I'm using here HTTP get attribute here, right, and if employee null, it will be display one message employee with that particular ID not found, and it will return to the view, right, it will return to the view index and it will display the message there. If it is record is there, then it will be also go to the index view and get all the employee details. So that I'm passing here the employee variable. Okay, because this by ID, based on ID, it will be retrieve the data and store in the employee variable. Same thing, it will display here on the filter records. So this is the code of search records in ASP.NET Core MVC in the employee controller.cs file. Okay, so this is the code of employee controller.cs file. Okay, so let's go to step 5, index.cshtml. It is used for design my UI. So it will display all the records as well as filter employee data in the table, and there is one text box, so user can pass the ID value, and based on ID value click on search, that employee data is found here. Okay, so I'll go to index.cshtml file. So I'll go to ASP.NET Core MVC, go to views, and here you can see there's index.cshtml. Okay, and here you remember guys, I'm using here tag helper, that is Microsoft.ASP.NET Core.MVC.tag helper, and this layout is for the design part underscore layout.cshtml, and this model I'm using list of employee. Okay, and here is this form I'm using for search operation. So I'm using here ASP tag helper. So ASP controller is my controller name is employee, action method name is search, method is get, and this div class I'm using some bootstrap property here, and this input type here I'm putting in the one text box employee. It should be placeholder and enter employee ID. There's two buttons, one is search, one is reset. So search is based on the employee ID, displays the particular records. On click of reset, it will display all the records, and reset all the input values, it display all the records. Okay, so in reset button I'm using here the href, that is /employee/index. So remember, if you go to my employee control.cs file, there is two methods. Okay, one is index, it retrieve all the employee details. One is search, it will be filter the records. So same href I'm using here in index.cshtml for reset, it will display all the records, and here in using tag helper I'm using ASP action and employee controller. On click of search, so it will display only the filter records based on employee ID. So this part is for filter the records. Okay, and this is the card part I'm using, and this will be showing the list of employees, and whatever how many data is there, it will show the count here. Okay, and it is for the display the message. If the data is not found, display the message no data is found. So see here, this is used if no data is found. For example, if in SQL Server no data, it will show no data found, or ASP.NET Core API is not running, so in UI of ASP.NET Core MVC display no employee data. Okay, and in the table responsive bootstrap table, I'm showing that employee details on employee ID, first name, last name, email. In tbody, iteration part and for each loop I'm using here, so display the records, and this is the end of div tag. Okay, okay, so here I am using two types of message. One is employee with ID not found, and one is no records found. Okay, so I'll show you in the UI part. So this is the code of index.cshtml. Okay, so let's go to my notes. So here I need to first run the .NET Core API. So I'll go to the command prompt of .NET Core API. So guys, there is one command .NET build. And second command is .NET Core run. So see here guys, my application is running successfully for API. I'm getting this URL, so make sure this API is running or not. I'll go to the Postman. Okay, so this is the endpoint I'm implementing in my video for filter the records. HTTP localhost port number API employee /11. 11 is the employee ID. So I send here. So see here, I'm getting the employee details whose ID is 11. Okay, so we need to run for .NET Core MVC app. So I'll go to the command prompt of ASP.NET Core MVC application. So here I need to execute the same command .NET build. Okay, and the next command is .NET run. So see here guys, I'm getting this URL, copy this URL of ASP.NET Core MVC web application. I'll go to the browser. Here I browse this, and remember I need to use this employee index. Employee is the controller, index is the action method. Okay, so see here guys, this is the UI of ASP.NET Core MVC. So initially when the application is running using employee controller with index, it display all the records. So total records is 8. I am getting one text box where I filter the records. There's two buttons, one is search, one is reset. Okay, so here I need to search the records whose employee ID is 14th. So I type here 14, click search. So I'm getting only one record whose ID is 14. Okay, so I need to check for 16. So I'm getting the employee details whose ID is 16 here. I'll pass here one ID which is not found. So 1 2 3, it is invalid ID. This ID is not found in my database. So I click on search, it's showing employee with ID 1 2 3 not found. Same thing I'll check for 246. So click on search. So I'm getting one message that employee with ID 246 not found. So I'll type here one valid record is 12. Click on search. So I'm getting the employee ID details whose ID is 12. Okay, I'm click the search reset. So on click of reset, I'm getting all the employee details. Same thing I need to repeat here. Click I put one valid employee ID 13. I want to see the employee details whose ID is 13. Click on search. I'm getting the employee ID whose ID 13. On click of reset, it's showing all the employee details. Okay, so there is two two things, right? I need to pass one invalid ID which is not found, so it's showing employee with ID 123 not found, right? Same thing, what I'll do is I need to go to ASP.NET Core API command prompt. I'll stop the .NET Core API application, Control C. Okay, now my application API is not running. Make sure by send the request. See here, there is no request. That means my API is not running now. I'll go to ASP.NET Core MVC URL, which still is running. I type here ASP. This employee and index. Okay. So see here, I'm getting one message that no employee data found. That means my API is not running, so that the UI is sending one message that no employee data is found. Okay, so that's all about how to display records and how to filter the records in ASP.NET Core MVC using ASP.NET Core Web API and SQL Server. Okay, let's go to the notes. So that's all about the steps for implementing the filter the records in ASP.NET Core MVC using Web API. I'll go to the presentation here. So guys, that's it for today. Thank you for listening. Have a great day. Hello everyone, this is Satyaprakash. Welcome to my channel. This is part 19 of ASP.NET Core. In this video, I'll show you how to perform multi-search filter in ASP.NET Core MVC using Web API. So in my previous video of part 18, I already have shown you how to filter the records in ASP.NET Core MVC using ASP.NET Core Web API using the single parameter, that is employee ID. But in this video, I'll show you how to filter the records based on multiple parameter fields like employee ID, first name, last name, and etc. So guys, before going to this video, please visit my part 18, that is I'll show you this one. So you'll get this video in my playlist or course called ASP.NET Core tutorial. So this is the part 18 where I shown you how to filter records in ASP.NET Core MVC with Web API and SQL Server. Okay, so let's go to my presentation here. So guys, in this video, create the controller action method to search by employee ID, first name, and last name. Create a view to design multi-search filter. Run Web API and MVC app to display the records. So guys, I have created one notes here. Okay, so first of all, we need to go to the employee controller, and in employee controller, I have created one action method called search mult with employee ID and first name, last name parameter. Okay. So I'll go to my VS Code. So first of all guys, I have created two instances of command prompt. One is my path of .NET Core Web API and another one is ASP.NET Core MVC application. So I have also created the same instance of VS Code. Okay, this one is .NET Core Web API. Okay, this is my controller, which I already have discussed in my previous video, whatever the HTTP GET, POST, PUT, and delete. Okay, so this is my VS Code for ASP.NET Core MVC application. Okay, so this is the employee controller. Here I do some implementation. So as per my step 1, I have created one index action method, that is search mult here, right? So this is the HTTP GET request. I have created 3 parameters. One is ID, first name, and last name, and this one is await operation. I am implementing by calling this method get employees async, right? If you right click on this, go to implementation, it refers to the employee service.cs file, which I already discussed in my previous video. Okay, so this method I am calling for filter the records. So here it will find out if ID has value, then it will return the records. Okay, same way it is for first name to filter the records that employee software e.first name not equal to null and contains the first name, and the string comparison should be ordinal ignore case, right? And same way for last name. So if the user will pass the last name in the text box or input field, it will find out if the employee's last name passed by user, it will be compared with the employee object, and it is not null and it contains the appropriate last name, then it will display the records here. So if the employee object doesn't have any records based on the user inputs like ID, first name and last name, it will display a message that is no employee found. Okay, and it will return to the view search malt and employees is pass the object here. Okay, so this is the code for action method in ASP.NET Core MVC application to perform multiple search filter. So this is the code of search malt index action method. Okay, so let's go to the next step, that is search malt.cshtml, which is the view. It is used to show the employee search using multiple filters. So guys, here what I'll do is go to the here. So this one is found inside the controller folder, that is the employee controller.cs. For the view search malt.cshtml, it is found inside view employees and search malt.cshtml. Okay, so this is the add helper, tag helper. I'm using MVC tag helper, layout to lay out the CSHTML, and here the list of employees by model. Okay, and these are the search from I'm using, and the ASP action method is search malt, because my MVC action method I'm using here as search malt, so that I'm calling that ASP action is search malt here. Method is get. Okay, and these are in the div class I'm using for three parameters, three fields. One is for div employee, it is for employee ID, which is passed by request query string parameter. Another one is first name input field text box, and third one is last name input text field. Okay, and all have the type text, the name, last name, and the value will come from the last name request query string parameter, and the placeholder I'm placing here as last name, same as for first name and the employee ID. Okay, and there is two buttons, one is for search, one is for reset. So search is based on the input text, it will display the records, and reset, it will show all the records, so that go to the href, it will map to employee search malt index action method. Okay, and here there is card shadow that is inside the grid. It will show that is a list of employees and total counts of employee based on filter and based on the total number of records. Okay, and here if the data is not found, then it will display this message that employee data is not found. And same way it is for no data also. If some error is happening in like API is not running or employee data is not found, else it will display the records in the table here, right? So see here, employee ID, first name, last name, email, and this in T body it will be display the serial numbers, total number records. And in for each loop, it will be looping through each model, each MP in the model, and it will be showing to the records for it will list of serial numbers, employee ID, last name, first name, last name, email, and it will show the total number of counts. It will be counting here. Okay, and the respective div and table tag elements is closed here. Okay, so that's all the code for search malt.cshtml. So I'll show the code from top to bottom to capture the code. Okay, that's all code for search malt.cshtml. Okay, so these are the two important files. We need to make some changes to perform the multiple search filter in ASP.NET Core MVC using Web API and SQL Server. So guys, in my notes, after do some changes, I'll go to my .NET Core API and as well as .NET Core MVC application command prompt, and there I need to execute some commands so that it will be run successfully. So first of all, I'll run the .NET Core API. So this is the path of my .NET Core API application. So these two commands, .NET build and one is .NET run. So here guys, my .NET Core API application is running successfully. I'm getting the URL listening to 5021 port number. So make sure whether it is running or not. I'll go to the Postman tool. Okay, and this is the endpoint HTTP localhost port number API employee, and this is the ID value is 11. So I need to check I'm getting the response or not for employee ID 11. So I'll click on send request. So see here guys, I'm getting the successful response from the API part, so that means my API is running successfully. Okay, so I'll go to my same way for command prompt for path to .NET Core MVC application. Here I need to execute the same command, .NET build. First command I need to build the application. And second command is .NET run. So guys, here my .NET Core MVC application listening to port number 5028. Okay, so I'll copy this URL, okay, and go to my browser. Here I paste the URL here, and there I need to add my controller and action method so that it will be showing to the particular view. So this is the path employee controller inside search mult index action method, which is similar to the view. Okay, so here I paste and click enter. So see guys, I'm getting the output here. This is the total number of records is 8, and there are 3 parameters of input text. One is employee ID, first name, last name, and 2 buttons, search and reset. So this is the card or grid which will display all the records initially. So what I'll do is I'll filter records based on individual parameters, and then the combination of all the parameters input text. Okay, first of all I'll try to filter the records whose ID is 12. So I put the employee ID 12 and click search. So see here guys, I'm getting one record whose ID is 12 and the total count is based on the value is 1. Same way I'll try to search the records whose ID is 14th. Click search. So I'm getting one records whose employee ID is 14, running dem1, and the total count is 1 here. Okay, and when I click on reset button, it will display all the records here. Okay, so here same way I'll try to find out whose first name is Ritesh. Click search. So I'm getting whose first name Ritesh is 2 records, Ritesh and Ritesh 12. So I'm getting total count is 2 here. So I want to first name is Satya, and click search. So there is the name whose name is first name is Satya. There is 1 record, Satya 1 Sam 1, and total count is 1 here. Okay, and click on reset, display all the records. Now I try to search the last name. So I want to search with last name is Rao. Click search. So see here the last name is Rao, and Rao 12. There's 2 records, so I'm getting 2 records here. Same way for Satpal, and click search. So see here for last name is Satpal and Satpal 1, there's 2 records, so that I'm getting 2 records and total count is 2 here. Okay, now click on reset. So this is the things I discussed, that is using individual parameters. Now I'll show you the combination of parameters. So here I want to check employee ID 12 and value is Satya 1 and last name is Sam. Click search. So see here no employee found, because based on the input value, the combination of input value, there is no records found, so that the no employee data is found. Okay, so what I'll do is I'll try to here employee ID 13 and first name is Satya here, and click on search. I'm getting 1 record whose employee ID 11, employee ID 13, and first name is Satya. So I'm getting 1 record here. Okay, and here what I'll do, if last name is, I'll put the invalid, not combined with, not matching with the input parameters. So you click on search. So this no records found, because there is no search records whose last name is TSR, first name is Satya, and employee ID is 13th. Okay, so same way I'll do for employee ID 16 and last name is Meloni. Okay, click on search. So I'm getting one record which employee ID 16 and Meloni first name. Okay, so I'll give one valid input text field value so that it will display the records based on the all three combined input text values. Okay, so what I'll do is I will type here 13, first name should be name is Satya and last name is Sam. So click on search. So I'm getting one record whose employee ID is 13, first name is Satya, last name is Sam. I'm getting one record here. Okay, and click on reset, it will display all the records. Okay, so guys, in this way we can build an ASP.NET Core MVC web application using ASP.NET Core API and SQL Server to perform multi-search filter functionality, and it is a real-time scenario it will be implementing. Okay, and you can implement as much as you can the input text, like you can also search the field based on email and address and phone number, email ID, everything. Okay, so that's all about the thing how to implement the multi-search filter. So I'll go to the notes. Yeah, that's all about the implementation. I'll go to the my PowerPoint slide here, and here I already have discussed the 3 points. Okay, and I'll go to the next slide. So guys, that's it for today. Thank you for listening. Have a great day. Hello everyone, this is Satyaprakash. Welcome to my channel. This is part 20 of ASP.NET Core. In this video, I'll show you how to save records using ASP.NET Core Web API and SQL Server. So guys, before going to this video, please visit my part 19 in ASP.NET Core tutorial course or playlist so that you'll get some real-time idea how to create ASP.NET Core application and how to implement in your real-time scenarios. Okay, so guys, I'll go to my presentation here. So guys, in this video I'll show you how to create a controller action method to save employee records, create a view to design save employee user interface, how to run API and MVC app to display the records. So guys, first of all, I created one notes here, step-by-step process. First of all, I have created 2 instances of command prompt, which is path is mapped to one path is mapped to ASP.NET Core MVC application, another one it is ASP.NET Core API. Same way, I have created 2 instances of VS Code which contains the ASP.NET Core API application, and one VS Code instance contains the ASP.NET Core MVC application. Okay, so first of all, I need to check the HTTP post of create employee method in .NET Core API. I'll go to my ASP.NET Core API application. So here, this is HTTP post operation to create the employee. Okay, so this is method is create employee and employee object, and this is the parameters I'm passing. The employee created equal to datetime.now, and the employee add employees, and the save changes and return create action method and get employees and the employee.employee ID. So guys, this HTTP post operation is used for create or insert the new records. So this endpoint I need to integrate in my ASP.NET Core MVC application, so that through UI we need to insert the new records of employee. So guys, in my tutorial I already have mentioned this all the endpoints of ASP.NET Core API application. So please go through the ASP.NET Core tutorial playlist or course section. Okay, so as per my second step, the changes should be made in ASP.NET Core MVC application. Step 1, I need to go to employee.cs file for validation purpose. I'll go to .NET Core MVC application. So this is inside models, there is one file employee.cs. Okay, so this employee.cs, it contains all the properties: employee ID, first name, last name, email, hire date, salary, create date, and updated date. So remember guys, this employee ID is a auto-generated identity column, so that is not need to mention in the UI to insert the records. And this create date, updated date should be inserted as per the default current date. Okay, apart from that, all this first name, last name, email, hire date, and salary should be as an input field in UI so that user can insert the records for these employees. So this is the code of employee.cs file. Okay, so step 2, employee service.cs file is used to some method definition for post operation. So it will call the that API endpoint which is mentioned in ASP.NET Core API application for post operation. So I'll go to this file employee service.cs. So this employee service.cs file, okay, and this is the create employee async method I am created, and this post as async, it will be contains the this is the endpoint employees. This is the ASP.NET Core API endpoint, and this is the parameter value. Whatever we coming for employee, it will insert the records. And if the status code okay, then it will be return all the employees, return null. If any exception, it will catch block will handle. Okay, so this is the code of, I'll show you all the codes for employee service.cs file. So this is the code of employee service.cs file. But for post operation, only method I need to define here, I need to call here in my controller. So step 3, I'll go to employee control.cs file. So I'll go to employee control.cs file. So remember guys, I'm creating one method for that. So remember, for HTTP post operation, we have the same method for get as well as post. So remember, for HTTP get, I created one create method, okay, and for HTTP post, same method I'm creating as a create IXON result return type, passing as the employee parameters, okay, model state, and remember create data of the date should be the as per the current date, and the created employee await service.create employee as async. So this method nothing but it is a part of service employee service. If you right click, go to implementation, it is redirect to this employee service.cs file method which already I discussed. Okay, so here I calling that method, passing the parameters. If create employee equal to null, it will display a message employee creation is failed, and it will return to the return all the records. Okay, return view of employee. Okay, so it's just for showing one valid message that is employee creation is failed. If the employee creation is successful, it will display a message employee created successfully, and it will redirect to the one view that is search_small.cshtml, okay, which I already discussed in my part 19 of ASP.NET Core tutorial video. Okay, so this is the code of my implementation of HTTP post operation. Okay, so I'll show you whole codes of the controller. Which I discussed in my previous videos. Okay, so this is the code of employee controller.cs file. Step 4 is I need to create a view based on the employee controller action method that is create. It will show one create new employee user interface. So guys, here in my ASP.NET Core MVC application, inside the view employee, I created one CSHTML create.cshtml. Okay, and this is the tag helper I'm using, and that's layout for layout CSHTML for bootstrap support and other UI part. This model employee, and this method if condition, right? So this is used for if the employee insert is failed, that temp data I mentioned in my employee controller.cs file inside create method, right? The same thing I need to use using the temp data so that it will display a message that is employee insert is failed. Apart from that, it will be one for design the UI, create employee header, and this is the ASP.NET validation summary, this alert danger for the validation summary part, and this is for first name input text value, and this is for last name input text value, and this is for email. Okay, and this is for hire date. It is showing one calendar, like you need to mention the date from this field. This one is for salary input text, and this one for two buttons, one is save employee and one other is back button. If you click on back button, it will go to the employee search_small.cshtml and display all the records. So this is the respective closing tag of create.cshtml. Okay, so guys, I'll show you all the codes here inside create.cshtml. Okay, this is the code of create.cshtml. So step 5, I need to, what I'll do is, this is my existing CSHTML source_small.cshtml, which is used for display all the records of employee. So there I need to create a button which is mapped to the create.cshtml, so that when the user will click on add create button, it will redirect to the create.cshtml. Okay, so I'll show you that is as well. Go to my VS Code. This one search small.cshtml. Okay, so this is the thing actually, guys. So here you remember in action method, create action method of employee controller, I have used two messages. One is for error message, one is success message. If create successful is done, then it will display a message that is create successful. So that I have mentioned here using temp data. Okay, and that button I have used here using SP controller employee controller, and this is the action method is create, and there is one button bootstrap I'm using create employee. So when the employee click on the create button or create employee button, it will redirect to the create UI user interface. So that is the new code changes inside the source small.cshtml. So anyways, I'll display all the codes here. So this CSHTML is used for display all the employee records. Okay, step 6, I need to add the validation message, success message, and failed message. So this one I'll show you while I run the application and through user interface. I'll show you that 3 messages. Okay, so step 7, I need to build and run web API and MVC application. I'll go to, first of all, I need to run the API. So I'll go to the path of ASP.NET Core API. First of all, I need to build the application. And I need to run the application here. So see here, guys, my .NET Core API application is running successfully using port number 5021. To check that, I need to open the Postman. Here it is my endpoint. I need to show the employee details whose ID is 24. So click on send. So see here, guys, I'm getting the response. Okay, that means my API is running successfully. So what I'll do is I need to run my .NET Core MVC application. So same command .NET build. And second command is .NET run. So I'll copy that URL of ASP.NET Core MVC application, go to my browser. Here I paste / my employee controller, and here instead of a create action method I need to put, I used to first of all I need to mention that source small.html, because it display all the records, right? So here copy that source small, go to here, paste and browse. So see here, it display all the records, right? So this is my existing implementation of source small.cshtml. Only thing, I have created one button here, create employee. So when I click on create employee, it will go redirect to the employee create CSHTML, that is redirect to employee create CSHTML, okay, and display all the input fields. So guys, without insert any records, if I click on save employee, it displays a validation message, the first name, last name, for email, for hire date, and for salary, right? So here I'll refresh it. I need to insert the records here. So here I mentioned the first name Daniel, Vettori, and the mail I need to put Daniel dot Vettori here. If you click on save, it display one message, please include @ in mail address, right? So @mail.com, and if you click on hire date, there is a button, right? So I need to use the hire date as well, and salary I need to put here as 13,000. Click on save. So my employee created successfully, so I'm getting one message here, employee created successfully here, and it is redirect to the search malt create.cshtml, okay. And there is one cross button, you can close that message as well. So I'll show you one more thing, create employee button, and without inserted records, if I click on back button, it is redirected to the search malt CSHTML, which display all the records, okay. And recently whatever records I have inserted, it is displaying here as a 25 employee ID and display the records. So this 25 employee ID I need to check in my Postman API response. So I need to replace here 25, click send. So see here, this record is showing as a JSON format in ASP.NET Core API response. 25 employee ID Daniel Vettori, okay, and this created date and updated date is inserted as per the current date, okay, and the hire date as per the user selection. So here I need to create one more employee, that is Chirag Rana, chirag@mail.com, hire date I mentioned here, this one 8th of May, salary is 23,500, save employee. I am getting the records is all display here, right, and check in response, that is 26, click send. So I'm getting the response of ID is 26, that is Chirag Rana, okay. So that is the one scenario for employee successfully inserted, right? So I need to show, that is if the create of employee details is failed. Also guys, you need to check your whatever recently created employees. So 25 employee ID, click search, I'm getting 25 employee ID, and 26th, click on search, I'm getting 26th employee ID as well, okay. So here also I need to display using first name, that is Chirag, right, and for Daniel it is displaying the records of Daniel, right. Same way for Rana, using last name, click on Rana, there is two last name Rana here, and Vettori, if I click on, just mention VTTORY, click on search, I'm getting one record of Vettori, okay. Click on reset, it will display all the records. So guys, here what I'll do, I'll show you one more scenario, that is how the create employee details will be failed. So what I'll do is I'll go to my ASP.NET Core API application, I'll stop the API application here, Control C. So that means my API is not running. I'll check using my Postman, click send. So see here, could not send request, that means my connection is disconnected, right? So I'll go to here, what I'll do is refresh it, okay. I enter some records, test 1 2 3, test @mail.com, the head date is mentioned here, 14th May, 24,000 salary. Click save employee. Click on save employee. I'm getting one error message that is employee creation is failed, please try again. So that means my employee creation is not successfully done. So I'm getting that response here, right? So what I'll do is, guys, okay, if I'll click on back button, so see here in search multi CSS_HTML also it not showing any records, so no employee is found, right? So what I'll do is I need to run my .NET Core API application, .NET run, click enter. My API is running successfully. I can check using Postman, click send. So I'm getting the response. So if I refresh it, search small.cshtml, I can see all the records, and lastly I have tried to insert one records, right? Test and the test 1 2 3. No, that is not inserted due to the API got disconnected, so that data is not inserted here. Okay, so I have covered that all the scenarios for that. One is validation message, success message, and failed message. So guys, in this way we can implement insert or save records of employee or any data using ASP.NET Core MVC, ASP.NET Core API, and SQL Server. So guys, I'll go to my presentation here. So guys, that's it for today. Thank you for listening. Have a great day. Hello everyone, this is Satyaprakash. Welcome to my channel. This is part 21 of ASP.NET Core. In this video, I'll show you how to update records using ASP.NET Core, Web API, and SQL Server. So guys, before going to this part 21, please visit my part 20. I'll show you that video how to insert records using ASP.NET Core, Web API, and SQL Server. And also, if you are new to ASP.NET Core and how to set up the application in ASP.NET Core, how to connect ASP.NET Core with SQL Server and create the connection strings, please visit this playlist or course section ASP.NET Core tutorial. So guys, I'll go to my presentation. So guys, in this video I'll show you how to create a controller action method to update employee records, create a view to design the update employee UI, and run API and MVC application to display the records. So guys, I have created one node step-by-step process. First of all, I'll go to my ASP.NET Core Web API to check the method in .NET Core. Okay, so first of all guys, I have created two instances of command prompt. One is my .NET Core API, okay, and one is .NET Core MVC application. And also I'm opening the two instance VS Code. That is, one is this is my .NET Core Web API, and the second one is this is a .NET Core MVC application. So I'm opening both the application simultaneously. So guys, here I'll show the steps. First, we need to go to the HTTP put and for HTTP verb, that HTTP put of update employee method in .NET Core API. So guys, I'll go to the .NET Core application here, .NET Core API application. So this employee controller I already discussed in my all the videos. Okay, so here I'll open that again. So here I'll go to my command prompt, and here I'll open code space dot. So see here guys, so this is .NET Core API application, and this employee controller have all the HTTP verbs to perform the CRUD operation, which I already discussed in my playlist called ASP.NET Core tutorial. So here this endpoint I'm using to update the employee in ASP.NET Core MVC application. Okay, so here HTTP put verb, and this is update employee. It has two parameters, one is ID, one is employee object. Based on ID, it will update the employee properties. Okay, and these are the exist employee, and this is find async. If the user will pass this id value, it will go to that, and if there is no data is found, it will be return not found. If it is there, the based on the input field, it will be update the particular column property value. Okay, so these are the update date as per the current date, and let's save the changes and return okay. So this endpoint I already have discussed in my all previous videos. I just want to implement that, use this endpoint in my ASP.NET Core MVC application. So just for like overview or to get the guidance of the how to use the endpoint. So this HTTP put for update employee method, I'm going to integrate to my ASP.NET Core MVC application. So this is the code of HTTP put for update employee method. Okay, so guys, I'll go to my steps that is changes in ASP.NET Core MVC. Step 1, I'll go to employee.cs for validation purpose. So I'll go to ASP.NET Core MVC application here. Okay, and here I'm opening the employee.cs. So this is employee.cs file where I created all the employee objects, employee ID, first name, last name, email, hire date, salary, and create date and updated date. Okay, so this is already discussed in my previous video, that is part 20. So same employee object I'm using in my update employee method. Okay, and step 2, in employee service.cs I'm using the method definition for put operation. Okay, so I'll go to here my MVC application, close this one, go to employee service.cs. okay, and here update employee method. So this method I'm going to use to call the API endpoint. Okay, so see here, this is the task of employee update employee async, the employee object parameter I'm passing here, and using the HTTP client I'm calling this put as JSON async. And here in this one you can see this URL I mentioned here, employees, this is nothing but the employee controller, and the employee.employee ID comma employee. Okay, so this is the endpoint for API endpoints. Okay, and this is the past of parameter employee object. So based on employee ID, it will be update the specific employee object value. If return code success, it will be read and return the update employee object, and return null if update fails, and the catch exception is captured here. So this is the code of employee service.cs file. Step 3, I'll go to employee control.cs file for add update method. So I'll here close this, go to employee control.cs. okay, and here I'm creating this update method, right? So see here, like create, we have HTTP get and HTTP post for create method, right? You remember in part 20, same thing for update I'm using for HTTP get, that is the update method, it has ID parameter, and the service is calling this service nothing but employee service.cs file. It has get employee by ID async. If you right click on, go to definition, so go to implementation, you can see it will be redirected to the employee service.cs file, which helps us to get the employee details based on ID. So in our update employee, what it does is if the user want to update any specific employee, so that it should first go to their ID. So that HTTP get method get verb, it helps us to get the ID using this method for HTTP get. So the if employee not null, then it will be display a message employee not found, and it will redirect to the redirect to action method, that is search merge. Remember, we have created one CSS/HTML file which display all the employee details, and return view of employee. So this is the HTTP get of update method. So same thing, we have the post method for update. So see here, this has the HTTP post and the update method, and it has the employee object parameter I'm passing. Here I am making update at column value should be the current date, and this variable updated employee, it will be calling to the update employee async. If you right click on go to implementation, it will redirect to the employee service.cs file which is calling the API endpoint. Okay, so here I pass in the employee object, which is nothing but this one. If update employee null, due to some reason my API getting failed, so that showing up employee update failed, please try again, and return view of employee. If update employee successful, it will display a message employee update successfully, and it will redirect to the search mall.cshtml. Okay, so this is the code of update method for using HTTP GET and POST in employee controller.cs file. Okay, so now go to the next step. Step 4, we need to create a view, that is update.cshtml, to create the update employee user interface. So guys, here what I'll do is go to here, view employees. Here I created update.cshtml. Okay, and here I'm using the tag helper layout, the layout on the CSHTML. It is for the bootstrap implementation. Here you remember there's a model employee I'm using here to calling the class employee, and remember I'm creating one condition in my CS file of employee controller, so that is used for if any error message is captured. If update employee is not failed, update employee is failed, so display a message with the close alert button with the close mark, right? So here the different div section I'm using update employee as a header, and this is the validation summary I'm using for each employee. This form ASP.NET controller employee, and the action method is update and method is post. Here I'm using employee ID as a hidden field. Whenever I'm clicking on the edit button, it will redirect to the employee ID to get the details of particular employee whose ID is something 1, 2 or something as per the based on click of the edit button. So we have different field, that is first name text box, it has the label and validation summary. So when the user will click on the edit button, so based on that the input text field will be highlighted with the specific name of the employee. Same thing for last name, email, and hire date and salary. Okay, and there is two buttons, one is update employee and one is back button. So update employee, click up update employee, it will be updating the employee details. If the user want to back to the search mall.cshtml, so there is href, I'm getting employee / search mall.cshtml here. So on click up back button, will go to this CSHTML file or view. So this is the respective closing tag of form, div and div tag. So this is the code of update.cshtml. Okay, let's go to the step 5. So here guys, in the existing search mall.cshtml, we need to add a edit link to connect to the update.cshtml. So this code is, I'll go to here, search mall.cshtml. So guys, here I'm creating one, adding one edit button. Okay, so this edit button will be so this edit button is here, I'm adding after the email. So this one, right? So this one edit button, edit button I mentioned, and this edit button has a controller employee, action method is update, and the route ID is employee ID. So that means when the user will click on the edit button, so based on employee ID, it will go to the update CSHTML, and the respective employee details will be loaded in the input fields. Okay, so that I'm adding here. So I'll show you the whole code of source mall.cshtml. If any related update.cshtml coding is related changes has been implemented. So this is the success message. If any update employee successfully done. So this is the code of searchmall.cshtml. So in searchmall.cshtml we can do the filter the records and it display all the records of employee. Also there is the edit link button, upon clicking on which it will go to the object.cshtml file. Also there is one create button where the user on click of create button it will be insert the new records of employee, which I discussed in my previous video. Step 6 is the added validation message, success message and failed message, which I'll show while I show the output of both the applications. Step 7 is build run a web API and MVC application. So first of all guys, I'll need to run my web API. So this is web API, command is .NET build. And the command is second command .NET run. Okay, so my .NET Core API is running successfully. To check this, I'll go to the Postman. So here I want to check the employee details whose ID is 26. So click on send. So I'm getting the employee details whose ID is 26. So let's run my .NET Core MVC application. The same command .NET build. And the second command is .NET run. So guys, I copy this URL, go to my browser. Here I'll type employee / search malt. So employee my controller, and this is the search malt CSHTML. It will display all the records with the additional buttons of create and edit buttons, right? So see here, all the rows of employee, it has the corresponding edit button. So if we put over the click on the try to put our mouse on this first edit button, so here you can see, here in this position you'll see that I want to update the employee details whose ID is 10. Same thing for update employee 11, update employee 12 and update employee 13th. So first of all I want to update the employee whose ID is 10. So click on that, it redirect to this update URL, and this is the interface. You can see this is the interface of update.cshtml. So the respective input fields has been loaded automatically: first name, last name, email, hire date and salary. Also I want to update here, instead of Satyaprakash I want to update Satyaprakash_1, Jackson_1, and here I want to mention 1 here, and update hire date I want to update to 20 and 47,000. Click on update employee. So I'm getting one successful message, update employee, employee updated successfully, right? and here also I'm getting the updated details. It has been updated to _1, last name also _1, and email is Jackson1. Okay, so it is updated successfully. We need to check this ID here in Postman. So click on send. I'm getting the updated details whatever we updated to UI. Okay, so guys, let's to update one more records, that is whose ID is 27. Click on edit. So instead of Edward 1 2, Brown 1 2 here, and Edward 1 to 1 here, I want to hire date to 5th, and the salary should be, I want to mention here 2 here, and update employee. So here employee updated successfully, so I can see the details which is updated here, right? In the 27 ID, Edward 12, Brown 12, and Edward 121@mail.com. So to check this one, go to 27th, click on send. So I'm getting the response also same as per the updated, right? So guys, what I'll do is I want to whatever the things we updated, right? So I want to check here the employee ID I updated. Click on search. It's showing the search here, employee ID 27th. So it's showing the 27th here. So I updated Satyaprakash 1, right? So Satyaprakash _1. Click on send, showing the details. And the Edward I'm updated here, right? It's the Edward 1 2. Same thing for Jackson, last name. So Jackson _1, and the Brownie. So Brown 1 2 it's showing here, right? Okay, now I'll show to the back button. So click on edit. I don't want anything, and also we need to check the validation, right? So I will click this one, so remove this one. Okay, and remove also here. Click on update employee, display the validation message, first name, last name required, email field required, and salary field required. And this field is already input, so there is no nothing is showing here. Okay, so without input anything, if I click on back button, it will go to the search model.cshtml. And also if I don't want anything to update here, make it as it is, just click on back button, will go to the search model.cshtml. Okay, so guys, now I'll show you that update employee failed scenarios. So guys, what I'll do is I'll click on that employee ID 11, edit. I'll go to the my command prompt of ASP.NET Core API. Okay, and here I type Ctrl+C. So that means my API is running stopped. I'll go to the my UI section, try to update employee. So it displays message employee updated is failed, please try again. Okay, so what I'll do is I'll go to here my .NET Core. So here I try to run this API. So my API is running successfully. I'll go to here and click on back button. It is coming to the search model CSHTML. Again, try to click on whose employee ID is 11 and click on this update employee to check. I want to update to row 1. Click here, update employee, employee update successfully. Message is coming here. So see here, I'm getting the employee ID whose ID is 12. Okay, ID is 11, and I can update it to row 1, right? Here it is display here row 1. So check this. I'll go to the Postman. So I can see the employee ID whose ID is 11. The last time I updated is RAW to RAW 1 year. So guys, in this way we can update the records in ASP.NET Core MVC using ASP.NET Core Web API and SQL Server. Okay, now I'll go to the steps. I already discussed all the steps here. Now I'll go to my presentation. So guys, that's it for today. Thank you for listening. Have a great day. Hello everyone, this is Satyaprakash. Welcome to my channel. This is part 20 of ASP.NET Core. In this video, I'll show you how to delete records using ASP.NET Core Web API and SQL Server in ASP.NET Core MVC. So guys, before going through this video, please visit my previous video that is related to how to insert records using ASP.NET Core MVC and Web API. Same for part 21, that is how to update records in ASP.NET Core MVC using ASP.NET Core Web API and SQL Server. So you will get real-time videos on my playlist or course called ASP.NET Core Tutorial. So these videos are very relevant and useful for beginner, intermediate and experienced candidates. So I'll continue with my presentation here. So guys, in this video I'll show you how to create a controller action method to delete employee records, create view to design delete employee user interface, run Web API and MVC application to delete the records. So guys, I have created one notes here. Okay, so these are the steps we need to follow up to perform this delete operation in ASP.NET Core MVC using Web API. So first we will check for delete employee method in .NET Core API, which I already discussed in my playlist. So guys, I'll go first of all. I have created two instances of command prompt. One is for .NET Core Web API path and another one is for .NET Core MVC path. Same way, I also created two instances of VS Code. This VS Code instance is for .NET Core Web API solution and this one is for .NET Core ASP.NET Core MVC. Okay, so guys, as per the step, I'll go to the ASP.NET Core Web API to check the delete employee method. So guys, this is the delete HTTP verb. So it performs the delete employee based on the ID parameter. Okay, so these are the employee find up if the user is passing the ID value. So based on that, if employee ID not found, it will be a message. If employee data is found, ID is found, then it will remove that employee from the list and it will display the message employee with ID deleted successfully. If any exception happens, then it will be display this error. So this endpoints is inside the employee controller.cs. So all the endpoints including insert, update, delete, get, all the endpoints are discussed in my all my videos. So these videos are available in my playlist called ASP.NET Core Tutorial. So guys, this HTTP delete employee method I need to integrate in my ASP.NET Core MVC application. Okay, so I'll discuss the remaining point. So the below changes are for ASP.NET Core MVC application. So step 1, employee.cs for validation purpose. So I'll go to the ASP.NET Core MVC solution, guys. So here this model employee.cs. So this is for the validation of purpose, that is for some entities: employee ID, first name, last name, email, hire date, salary, created date and updated date. So this is the code for employee.cs file. So let's check the second point. So employee service.cs, I will create one method definition for delete operation which implement the delete endpoint for the .NET Core Web API. So I'll go to ASP.NET Core MVC application. Inside service, there's employee service.cs file. So guys, here I have created one method delete employee async, passing the parameter employee ID. So here delete async and passing this endpoint employees controller. It is a web API controller / employee ID. So based on that, it will delete employee. If successful, if not successful, it will return null, or else it will be display a message that's employee with ID deleted successfully. And this is for catch exception. So this is the code for delete employee async method in employee service.cs file. Okay, and there is one more thing, guys. So for delete employee, right, so we need to create one new class here, API response, and inside one declare one property here, message. So this message is helpful for whatever we are getting response from the API, so it will display here. For example, if the deleted successfully, right, we have configured in our .NET Core API, if delete successful, display message employee with ID deleted successfully. The same message I want here in my ASP.NET Core MVC, so that I created one class API response and the message declare the one property here string message. So same message will display here. Okay, so this is the code for delete employee async method in employee service.cs file for delete operation. So this employee service.cs file, it will be useful for, it will be helping us to integrate all the API endpoints for get employee with ID, for insert, and for update, and this is for delete. Okay, so this line and up to this line is for delete. Okay guys, so we'll go to the next step. Step 3, employee control.cs. We need to create one method delete. So I'll go to ASP.NET Core MVC employee controller, and here I have created for delete operation. Okay guys, so this is the code for delete. First is starting for same as update. For delete we need get as well as HTTP post. For get, it will be retrieve the ID value, it retrieve the employees based on ID, and it will be HTTP post, it will be delete the employees based on the ID. Okay, so here the HTTP get bar by highlighted here, and this is the delete operation with int ID, and this underscore service, it's nothing but employee service.cs. If you right click on go to implementation, it will be redirect to employee service.cs file. So this code is getting employee details based on employee ID. So here it will be employee store here if employee equal to null, something if API getting stopped or something issue is happening, so it will be display a message employee not found, please check the service running or not, and it will redirect to the search model.cs HTML, which display all the records of employees with filter. Then, and if it's successful, it will go to the return view employee and the confirmation view. Okay, so this is for HTTP get for delete operation, and the other one is HTTP post for delete operation. So HTTP post action name is delete. So the async wait operation I'm using here, the delete confirmation, I passing 3 parameters: ID, first name, last name. So this ID is based on delete employee async, right? So if you right click on go to implementation, it will redirect to the employee service.cs file, which integrates the delete endpoint for delete operation. So after that, it will be if the result message equal to null, it will display a message employee with ID, this ID value, first name for example test1, last name test2, delete failed, please try again. It will display a message and it will redirect to the source model.cs HTML. If there is data, then it will display a message that the employee with ID is successfully deleted with first name, last name, display message, and it will redirect to the source model.cs HTML. Okay, so this is this is the code of delete operation, delete method for HTTP get and post in employee control.cs file. Okay, so this employee controller also it is implementing for all the operations for get, okay, and for search mult like filter purpose, and for insert records, and delete for update records, and this is for delete. Okay, so this is for delete. Okay, this is for update also, post operation update, and this is for delete, which I discussed now, and this is for delete operation. Okay guys, so this is the code of delete method for delete the records in employee control.cs file. Okay, so let's go to point 4. You need to create a view called delete.cs HTML to create delete employee user interface. So here guys, I'm creating one delete CS HTML inside view employees. Okay, I have created one tag helper, layout for bootstrap or layout design, so model of employee, and this is the design of card. So it will be one header, it will be delete employee, and there is some alert message I'm displaying that if you want deleted it will not be undone. And below that I have created one table. So based on ID, whatever the employee ID display, first name, last name, email, and there is two buttons will be there. One is for delete, one is for cancel. So delete operation will delete the employee. Cancel button, if the user not deleted, try to cancel, then it will redirect to the source.cshtml. And this three hidden fields I'm using. One is for employee ID, so based on employee ID it will display the message, and these two hidden fields, first name, last name, I'm using here because so to display this message in my employee controller.cs file, that is here, right? First name, last name, and here first name, last name. If successfully not done, if successfully done, so it will be display message. So that's why I'm using here in delete.cshtml as a hidden field. Okay, inside the form action delete method post. So the so apart from that, the respective div tags are closed. So this is the code of delete.cshtml. Okay, so let's go to the next step. Step 5, in search mode CSHTML, I need to add a delete link to redirect to the delete.cshtml. So guys, what happened when our MVC application runs? First of all, it lands to the search mode.cshtml. Okay, previously we have added the edit link to update record. Same way, beside the edit link we need to add one delete link here. So here, so when the user click on delete link, it will be redirected to the SB action controller employee, and the action is delete, and the route ID should be employee ID, same as for edit operation. Okay, so this is the code change of source mode CSHTML for delete operation. So I'll also display all the codes here in source mode.cshtml. So only code changes for this delete operation, we need to add a link here like this. So it will be show a delete button here. Okay, so that is the code of changes in source mode.cshtml. Okay, I need to show one more changes also here in search mode.cshtml. That is, if delete successfully not done or delete successful, then we need to display the message in search mode.cshtml also here, right? So these two lines we need to add here also, because in my employee control.cs file I need to add the temp data of delete error message, which be failed message, and temp data of delete success message, successful message. That's why in search mode.cshtml, due to some reason core sp.net core web API getting stopped or service not running, so that display the message. If successful message, it display inside the source mode.cshtml, that is deleted successfully. If the delete not successful or failed, it will display a message that is delete not successful, employee with ID, the deleted is failed. Okay, so that I have want to display two messages inside search mode.cshtml when the user try to delete the employee records, and whether it is successful or not. Okay, so these two things we need to configure inside search mode.cshtml. Okay, now point 6, added validation message, success message, failed message I'll need to show while running the application. Step 7, we need to build and run API and MVC web application. First of all, we need to make sure web API should run. So I'll go to command prompt of ASP.NET Core Web API. There is two commands, .NET build and second command is .NET run. So guys, my API is running successfully. To make sure, we need to copy this URL. Okay, go to browser here, type and Swagger. So see here, I'm getting the Swagger URL. That's my API is running as expected. So what is my next step is I need to build and run for my MVC application. So I'm going to command prompt of MVC application path. Here same command I need to run .NET build. And second command is .NET run. So guys, my MVC application is running. I'll copy this URL, go to browser. Here I type here, I need to go to the search malt CSHTML. So employee is my controller, search malt is my CSHTML home page. So see guys, this is my interface, right? So as of now I have 3 records. I can see the delete buttons along with this all the records. Okay, so what will happen, I need to delete this employee whose ID is 31, right? So I'll check first in my postman, so the record is there or not. So I'll copy here, type here 31, send request. So I can see records is there, right? ID 31. Okay, so I'll come to here to UI and try to delete here, click on delete. So this is the interface of delete CSHTML guys. So I can see the port number, employee controller, delete method and the ID value. So this is the delete CSHTML interface. I can see the employee ID 31, first name, last name, email. So I don't want to delete here, click on cancel. So it will redirect to the search malt CSHTML. Again I need to click here to delete the employee. It will be redirected to delete.cshtml. So I'll click on the delete button. So I can see employee with ID 31 Ivanga Trump deleted successfully. So it will redirect to search malt CSHTML, and that employee ID also not showing in the table list. Let's check in my postman. So the same ID is there or not. So it's showing not found 404. That means it is successfully deleted. Okay guys, so I'll show you one more scenario, that is I need to stop my API. First of all, I'll click on I want to delete this employee whose ID is 30. So I'll check here in postman, employee ID is 30 here, send. So it is there, right? I'll click on delete. It is showing the delete employee details. So what happened is, in between I want to stop this .NET Core API, right? So make sure this is .NET Core API, Control C. So my API is not running. So how to check? I'll go to Swagger URL, refresh it. So it is showing failed to load API definition. That means my API is not running. Also we can check using postman, send button. So it's showing could not send request. That means my API is getting stopped. Okay, so what I will do is I'll be try to click on this delete button here. So see here guys, it is redirected to search malt CSHTML. I'm getting the one error that employee with ID 30 Nigel Rock deleted failed, please try again. Okay, so that means my API getting stopped. Also I'm not see any records here in my list. So we'll check once after running API here whether it deleted or not. So we need to run this .NET Core API .NET run. So guys, API is running. try to load the Swagger. Swagger is loading. Come to Postman. So I try to delete this employee with ID 30. Click send. So it is employee with ID is there because delete is failed, right? And try to refresh it. So see here, this employee with ID 30 is not deleted because my API getting stopped. Okay, and now my API is running. I try to delete this employee with ID 30. Click on delete. Try delete. So it's showing employee with ID 30 Niger rock deleted successfully. Also it is deleted from this list as well. So let's check in my Postman. Click send. So this is deleted, so that I'm getting 404. Let's refresh it. I want to get a full operation, that is for CRUD, create, read, update and delete. So first of all I need to create one employee. So this first name I want to display here Tom Danik, and this mail ID is tom@mail.com. Date of birth, hire date I need to here use as 5th, and the salary I want to use 12,000. Click on save. Employee details is showing, that is 32, right? I try to come to here Postman, 32 here, send request. I can see the records. Try to edit the records. Instead of Tom I want to use Tom1, Vanik 2, Tom1@mail.com. Hire date I want to use 10 and 13,000, and update employee. So it is updating, right? And what I'll do is try to check here. So this is also updated information is available here. Try to delete. Okay, before delete I want to check here filter records whose ID is 32 search. So displaying 32 records. First name is Tom, searching Tom1, and here I want to search for Vanik. So Vanik is here, right? So I want to delete this employee whose ID is 32. So click on this delete. I can see the delete employee details whose ID is 32 here. So I want to delete here. Click on delete. So employee with ID 32, Tom1, Vanik 2 deleted successfully. So it is not showing in the table list. Try to check here using Postman. So deleted successfully, so that I'm not getting any successful message showing status 404 not found. Okay, so that's all about, guys, how to perform delete operation in ASP.NET Core MVC using Web API and SQL Server. So guys, here I'll go to the notes. So guys, that's all about the steps to build delete operation in ASP.NET Core MVC application. So I'll go to my presentation here. So guys, that's it for today. Thank you for listening. Have a great day.